Hey guys, it's Phil coming back at you with another video. Today, I'm back. I'm excited, and I know some of you may be like, Phil, I thought you only upload every other week. Well, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I need to get this out before I forget it, because for those that know, I tend to forget things quite a bit. I'm not going to be announcing the people that have passed in the last week, because there's a decent amount, but I want to save that until the next video. So if you've passed and you've emailed me, I'll announce your name in the next video, but I wanted to get this out. I wanted to share it because I'm hearing a lot of people say, man, I'm not really sure if what I'm doing is right. What should I do? The holidays are coming up. How do I do this? What in particular should I do? And I want to be somebody that can be a support at this time. But before we get into that, if you want to rep and rock with me, the easiest way to do that on my Sunday study groups, my individual tutoring schedule tends to be pretty bonkers. So if you want information about my individual tutoring schedule, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com or click the link in the description. And for those that are like, Phil, what is the description? It is the view more under the title of this video. So it's not that I'm not doing individual tutoring. It's just there's only one of me, and a lot of people kind of want it right now. But the easiest way to do that are my Sunday study groups. That is the easiest way to get connected to me, and they are the 2 to 3 hour session, as well as a question and answer segment afterwards. So you will be able to directly interact with me, and you get the recording of it and everything. So that's why it's the easiest thing and the best way to benefit from things. And if you're like, Phil, when are the next Sunday study groups? They are as follows. 12/27, DSM-5 children. 1/3, starting the new year off hot, DSM-5 adults. 1/10, ethics. 1/17, practice questions, and this will be different than the one that we did last week on 12/20. And if you come to these practice questions study groups ready to knock them all out, you may get a lot of them incorrect, but don't let that deter you from what you know to be true. These are programmed and built to make you understand how your process is working, and if you're adding things or taking things out of the question. 1/24, client interventions. 131, meds and DSM-5, so we'll look at all the medications and the diagnosis that are related to them. 27, acronym and practice questions, so we'll be going through each level of the acronym, comparing it back to questions to see what in particular it looks like. And a lot of times people are like, Phil, where's the public video going over the acronym? How does the acronym work? I don't really have a public video. The only way to benefit is to go to the live study groups and or purchase a previous study group that I did going over each level of the acronym, and then we'll go over 10 practice questions to see what in particular that looks like, and they will be different than the practice questions that we did in the previous sessions. And then 2/14, research, program development, and evaluation. And if you want any information about the Sunday study groups, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com or click the link in the description. That's the easiest way to do it. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, or have any struggles, just send me an email. I tend to respond pretty quick, but if I don't respond to you immediately, just keep in mind that I have a lot going on, especially with the holidays. I won't be as mindful because I'll be trying to spend as much time as I possibly can with my family, because this time is the time that I try to dedicate as much time as I can. But do not worry, I'm still repping and rocking with you guys, and I'm going to try and support you guys as much as I possibly can. And the Sunday study groups are 7 p.m. until whenever we stop Eastern time. Sometimes we end at 10:30, sometimes we end at 11, sometimes we end at midnight. I try to give as much as I possibly can back to you guys. And for those that are wondering, yes, we are doing another one-day course, and the one-day course has been the most successful thing and has been the most pack in the punch thing that I've ever done. And why do I say that? Because it's the most comprehensive thing that I can do, as well as it's the most contact that you get with me in a consecutive manner. And so many people have been confused, had other preps tell them exactly what they needed to be doing. They attend this one-day course, it eases their mind, they walk in, they kill it, they get the job done. And the next one will be January 23rd, starting at 11 in the morning until whenever p.m. Eastern time. And I know I used to give like time requirements and stuff, but again, I just blow past them because time management's not my strong suit or my strength. So it typically gets over at like 10 or 11 or maybe midnight. The last one we did ended at midnight, but you don't have to stay the whole time. Why do I say that? Because the content will be recorded, and then additional time is typically the question and answer segment where you can ask me any questions you want to process your situation or anything like that. I'm here to rep and rock with you guys any way that I can. And for those of you that are like, Phil, I've never even heard of the one-day course. What does the one-day course entail? Or is the tips I find most helpful for people to walk in the exam, kick it in the chest, and get the job done. It is the most common reasons why people do not walk into the exam and pass. So it is the reasons why people typically fail. They tend to overthink. They tend to second guess, stuff like that. Breaking down topics that people find tricky, subpoena versus court order, the medications, refer versus supervision. When should you do that? What does community look like? And then we'll go over the 5-step process that I recommend people to walk into the exam and utilize. We'll go over the acronym, and then we will go over 25 practice questions. And again, these tend to be the most heavy hitter questions that I can release based on the fact that 1, I'm nervous, and 2, I want to make sure I can give back as much as I possibly can for those people that are willing to invest in that. And like I said, it's been the most successful thing for me, and it just makes me happy because it's something that I never thought could come to fruition. But again, if you have a dream or you have a goal or you have an idea, don't ever let self-doubt or don't ever let anyone take that away from you. You can do anything that you want to. If you want any information about the one-day course, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com or click the link in the description below. And if you're like, Bill, my exam is before that, I can't really benefit from that, it is possible to receive a recording of the previous one-day course. So send me an email at berda24@gmail.com for that. And again, all of my previous study groups are also available for a fee as well. I just have a library of them, and a lot of times people don't really know about it because I don't really talk about it based on the fact that it's not like I'm a salesperson. I'm a social worker. I want to help as many people as I possibly can, and I just tend to under discuss things because it just scares me. The more people that utilize my stuff, the more accountability there is for it. But again, for those that do not know, Audible has agreed to sponsor both my YouTube videos and my podcast, which I'm going to resurrect after the new year. Don't worry, I'm bringing that back. And for those of you that are like, Phil, I didn't even know you had a podcast. It's at Fill in the Gaps on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. I'm going to bring those back as well as on Spotify. I'm bringing that back after the new year. I'm going to stay consistent. That is going to be on my goal, is to make sure that I upload an episode of that every other week as well as a video every other week. So hold me accountable. I'm going to announce that after the new year, but for those that are up and rocking right now, I'm just sharing that for you guys that like that. But back to Audible. For those that don't know, Audible is an easy way to gain knowledge on the go. So if you're busy, just like me, and you still want to get things in or want to practice self-care, the way to support me as well as to support them is go to my Audible affiliate link at audibletrial.com/fill-in-the-gaps. You have to sign up for the 30-day free trial to benefit me. But again, it is an easy way to get knowledge on the go. If you're an auditory learner, it's the easiest way to get things repping and rolling. And again, from the bottom of my heart, for those that have already signed up for the Audible affiliate link, it means the world to me. I didn't think that many people were repping and rocking in the Fill in the Gaps community. But if you're like, Phil, I want to go to the Audible affiliate link at audibletrial.com/fill-in-the-gaps, but I'm not sure what book to get, there are 4 books that I would recommend. They are as follows: Outliers, Just Mercy, The Power of Habit, and The Alchemist. Each of them are going to have lessons and things that you can implement into your life to become the best possible version of yourself, because that's the goal. We help people all the time become the best possible versions of themselves. Now it's time to funnel back into us, make sure that we're exercising self-care, we're getting the job done, and we can do what we need to do for ourselves in order to give back to those that actually need it. And if you're liking the things that I'm producing or putting out, do me a favor. Give this video a thumbs up, click the like button down below next to the title. The more people that smash that, the more social workers that can find out about the Fill in the Gaps community, and that's just an easy way to give back, and it means the world to me for those of you that smash it. I look at the views go up, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of people that like this. Or drop a comment down below. Drop one thing positive down below, because there's a lot of people that are struggling right now. They may not be coming out into the public, but there's a lot of people struggling, so do me a favor, comment down below something positive, because we need more positivity in our situation, because the more positive energy and positive thoughts and positive vibes we put out, the more positive results people can give and get. And same with you, the more positivity in your situation, the more positive things that are going to come into your life, as well as click down below the subscribe button and click the bell notification next to it to get notifications when I release videos. And then not the next video, but the video after that is going to be the one where I announce the free study group. The date has not really been announced to the public, but just be mindful if you haven't subscribed and if you haven't hit the bell notification next to it, you likely want to, because it's going to give you some important intel on how to do it. So let's get into the topic of the video today, guys. I was just thinking about it. I was sitting around. I'm getting a lot of emails. I'm like, man, I'm not really sure what and how I can, because I just kept getting a recurrent thing. Phil, the holidays are coming up. Man, I'm super stressed about my exam that's coming up. Man, people are pressuring me and doing this, and I wanted to get it out there. Like I said, it was heavy on my heart. I wasn't really going to upload a video this week because it's the holidays, but I was like, no, I need to do what I'm destined to do, and that's to help people. So let me give you 5 tips on what to do and how to study during the holidays, because you're human. You likely have people that want you to do things that you may entirely not want to focus on, but we have to make sure that we have balance within our situations. So my first recommendation when studying during the holidays is to be consistent. Whatever you decide to do, be consistent, because when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you are like, I'm just going to play it by ear, I'm going to study whenever I can. If you are like me, or like somebody that wants to accomplish a goal, that is never going to leave your mind. So you're going to be sitting around people, and you're going to be thinking, man, I need to really be studying, or I need to be doing this, or I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do all of these different things at the same time. But being consistent is going to lead to the most positive results, because a lot of times people can start something, but they're not able to maintain it over time, which means that they shouldn't have started it in general. Because when it is intermittent, it confuses you of, do I really want this? And if you do want it and you're not doing it, you're going to beat up on yourself for not getting to where you thought you wanted to go, or you're not doing the things that you thought you were going to do. So be consistent. Plan something out and say, this is the events that I have coming up, or this is what I want to do. If you have a family, you have kids, you have people, you have a significant other, etc. Do not neglect them at this time. And a lot of times people are like, Phil, what do you mean? You're somebody that says grind until you shine. You're somebody that says give everything you got. And yes, that is something I always say, but there's going to be a tip later on where I allude to that a little bit further. But being consistent, because if you're consistent, the people around you are going to know what to expect. So for example, let's say you have a holiday gathering. Be 100% focused on that. Do not go in and say, all right, well, I'm only going to give X amount of time, or I'm only going to do this. No, focus on the holidays, because you can't get that time back. Focus on the people around you, because you don't know how long they're going to be around. But there's one thing that's certain. The exam is not going anywhere. The materials aren't going anywhere. Of course, there could be extreme circumstances of where they're going, or like, but focus with me. The exam's not going anywhere. The materials aren't going anywhere, but your family is, and the relationships are as well. So making sure that you are so mindful and focused on the moment and being consistent. So talk to your partner, talk to your family, talk to yourself and say, I'm going to study for X amount of time over X amount of days, or I'm going to take this amount of days off, but I'm going to make up for it in these days, or I'm not going to make up for it. I'm just going to study X amount of time after this, because I have muscle memory and I've been doing this soon enough, and I've been doing it enough. So being consistent is 100% important. And why is that important? Because if you know what to expect, you can react to the situations in the best way that you know how. And way too many times people are like, Phil, I'm afraid to stop studying, or I'm not sure what it's going to look like. Should I start doing this? I'm overwhelmed. I'm starting to get questions wrong. I thought I knew this topic. Being consistent. And when you are consistent, you know what to expect. You're more comfortable, you're more confident, and when you give yourself permission to do something, you don't have that guilty feeling in your heart if you're like, well, I should be studying right now. Is this exam even important to me? Or da-da-da-da-da-da. Making sure that you have a plan and being consistent with yourself in the way that you react to yourself as well as the people around you. That is going to be super duper important around these wild times of holidays. Because we are all busy. We all have things that we need to do. We all have these things, but do not neglect the things that are actually important to you. Yes, this exam is important to you, but if your family is more important than this exam, that's okay. And a lot of times people are going to be, Phil, you told us to always sacrifice and do this. Yes, there is a time and place for that, but this is not one of them. Why? Because it's been a stressful year. It's been a stressful time. And if you are spending time with the people that you are supposed to be with, you are not going to be any other place that you're not supposed to be. Which leads me to my second tip, which is being present as you're present. A lot of us may not have anything to bring. One of my favorite songs is The Little Drummer Boy. I have no gifts to bring. So we don't have a lot to bring, but you being there could be enough. If you are like me, you're working 100% of your times. You're doing 100% of the things. A lot of people around you are making sacrifices that you don't even know. So you being present and mindful in that moment could be the only present that you have to bring. You can't buy that. You can't give that. The only thing you can do is simply be you in that situation. So do me a favor. Do not go 100% crazy on the exam and stay focused on what you need to do in that situation. So being present is your only present this year. And of course, you may have bought people things, but I guarantee if you've been grinding heavy, or if you've been studying for this exam as much as you've been wanting to, or letting the people around you influence you to study more than that you need to, then you are likely going to need to cut back to get more present in the situation. So don't go to that gathering or don't be around people and be thinking about the exam 100% of the time, because that's not giving them anything. That's you giving yourself so much that you're not even wanting to be around the people that want you to be around more than anyone else. And you're giving energy and time to people that don't want you around or aren't building you up, and you're neglecting the areas that they are giving so much back to you. So do me a favor, be present as you're present. And that is going to be important based on the fact that when we get too close to ourselves, we don't realize the behaviors and things that we are doing. Do not let this exam convince you that you do not have everything that you need. And if you haven't seen it, and I think it was in like a free study group announcement, I talked about the difference between a scarcity and disparity mindset. Scarcity, you can look it up, is where there is no resources to supplement that. Scarcity means there's a deficit within the situation that can't be made up. Like if there were not enough pens, for example, and I'm trying to write with a pen, I'm not going to have that. Scarcity is like, yo, I don't really have this, or I can't get this. Disparity, on the other hand, the things exist. It just takes a little bit more effort to bridge that gap. So if you walk into these holidays with a scarcity mindset, you're going to convince yourself all of the studying and all of the things you've done aren't enough, but it's 100% enough because you've been 100% you for long enough. And if you think back of something that you're really good at, aka being a social worker and helping people, so that, let's say, that'd be like you not taking any time off for your job at all and then being afraid that you're going to forget all the skills that you did at that job. I guarantee you can do it with your eyes closed. Same thing with studying. It's like the materials aren't just going to mold out of your head after X amount of days. Being mindful that you know everything that you need to do. So it's not a scarcity mindset of like, man, I don't have enough, or I don't have enough materials, or I don't know all of this stuff. Because it may feel that way, but your feelings may lie to you, and you need to execute in that moment and say, I have everything that I need. I can take my foot off the pedal a little bit, but I'm not going to get out of the car and stop doing what I want to do. But when I go back, based on the fact that my family is important to me, I'm going to be more energized, I'm going to be more pumped up, and I'm going to get to where I need to go faster based on the fact that I'm not burnt out, I'm not stressed out, I'm not aggravated, I'm not frustrated, I'm not damaging things around me. So making sure that you walk in with the disparity mindset of, okay, there may be a gap when I come back, but muscle memory is going to slingshot me further, and I'm going to be farther than I was before based on the fact that I'm energized and pumped up. So think back to a time where you're like, man, I'm so tired, this skill and talent is so hard, and then you got a good night's rest, you popped up and saw the solution to the problem without even really thinking about it. Same thing with this. Do not let this exam convince you that you don't have enough to be able to walk there and kill it, because the only thing that can dictate whether you pass or fail this exam is the actual exam. So don't let a piece of material, don't let a program, don't let a person in your life deter you and distract you from the fact that you have everything that you need. So making sure that you're only present this year is you being present. And if you want to get other people presents, that's fine, but that needs to be a challenge for yourself, is I'm going to be 100% present at any interaction or any gathering that I am at, based on the fact that I know that I have everything that I need to walk into that exam and kill it. And the third recommendation is being kind to yourself. This is a time to be mindful and grateful and all of these great things that we tell everyone else to do. So exercise it for once. And as I said back in my first point, there's a time to grind and then there's a time to unwind. there's a time to grind and there's a time to unwind. And if there's a time to unwind, it's right now. Based on the fact that it's been stressful, you've been doing everything that you needed to, you've been checking your boxes off, you've been stretching yourself to the limits, and this is the time where you need to unwind for even a day or a couple of days or whatever this looks like for you. Give yourself permission to be able to do this and get to where you need to go. Do not convince yourself that you do not have enough to get to where you need to go. So being kind to yourself, be giving yourself days off. It could be cutting back on the questions. It could be when you're doing questions, you don't beat up on yourself for not getting it correct, because if you get a question correct, it does not mean that you don't know what you're doing. It just means that you didn't see something that the exam wanted you to see at that given moment. So you have to be willing and open to be kind to yourself, because the more kind you are to yourself, the easier it is for you to be able to walk into a situation with a fresh mindset. But if you're belittling yourself, you're taking your energy away, you're taking all these things off the table from yourself, you were going to be less than who you would have been if you would have just been kind to yourself, stayed focused, been patient, and did everything that you needed to do. And that's where you have to be open to this, of there's time to grind and there's time to unwind. And this is one of those times where unwinding is important, because the moments that you get with the people that are there with you, you may not get that again, because you may never see that person again. And if you're okay with looking yourself in the face and saying, I may not see that person ever again in my life, and I'm willing to sacrifice that, go ahead. But if you are not willing to make that sacrifice right now, that is okay, and you need to go where your heart is, not where your mind's telling you to go. Again, your mind is going to tell you places or tell you doubts or all of these things, but where your heart is where you actually need to be going. Your emotions are going to take you so far, but what you intentionally and actually want to do is what you should be doing, because the less stress you have in your life, the better off you are going to be. So again, there's a time to grind and there's a time to unwind. And once you get back from this holiday or break or spending time with people, hit it all the way to the floor. Make sure you give it everything you got. But if you don't give yourself grace now, you will never give yourself grace in any aspect of what you're supposed to be doing. Again, there's a time to give it 100% of yourself, and then there's a time to let yourself recharge. Just like your cell phone, you don't let this thing burn all the time. You don't have it keep going. Maybe you do, but at the end of the day, you have to charge it at some point in time. You can't let it go 100% of the time. But the time that you do need to give 100% is during the exam. Again, the only thing that dictates whether you pass or fail is the actual exam. So giving yourself grace, being kind to yourself, giving yourself time with the people that are important to you, not being like, yep, I have to neglect everything that I'm in my life based on the fact that this exam is the number one thing that I need in my life. And that may be true. You may be like, Bill, you don't know anything about my situation. You don't know me. You don't know what this exam represents for me. I don't know specifically what that means for you, but there are things in my life that I definitely know that I want to accomplish. And if I don't give 100% of myself to 100% of the things, that there's going to be a very huge deficit and negative things are going to happen. But even myself, I'm going to give myself a break to make sure that I come back 100% refreshed, because I know myself well enough that when I'm frustrated and when I don't get everything that I need to be doing and have neglects and not doing 100% of the things that I know, I'm not going to beat up on myself, because I know that I'm giving 100% of who I am to everything that I do. But again, it's not what you do that makes you who you are. It's who you are while doing it. Do not let who you are be overshined by the things that you want to accomplish or what you need to do. And my fourth recommendation or tip is be prepared. Let go of fear of being behind. Do not compare yourself to anybody. Stay in your lane. This time of year is one where everybody wants to compare themselves to somebody, or they feel like they're not contributing enough. They're not doing everything that they feel they need to do. And again, being prepared. And what does that look like? When you have a plan and you know what you need to do, you should not say, I'm not doing enough. And this is for my people that are like, man, I'm still going gung-ho. Or, man, this person told me that I should be studying this, or this other person told me I needed to do this, or I'm not getting the scores on the practice exams that these people are giving me, or your questions are harder than the things that I'm seeing. Why am I not good enough? Why am I not getting this done? Stay in your lane. Focus on what you need to do. Do not compare yourself to anybody, because you're so uniquely gifted and talented in what you do, and you are destined to do great things. But if you start comparing your yourself to somebody else, you are then going to take away your superpowers and give the control to somebody else. You need to do exactly what you need to do to get yourself there. Do not compare yourself to anybody else, because you are destined and have been through everything that you went through, and you've sacrificed too much to get here, and people have sacrificed too much for you to be here, for you not to be kind to yourself and stay in your lane and do everything that you need to do. There are going to be people telling you that you should be studying this, you need to be doing this, you should not do this, you should not do that. Anything I've said today, do not listen to it if it does not resonate with you or this doesn't mesh with your situation. Again, I'm not somebody that's like, listen to everything that I say, do everything that I say. You need to figure out what you need to do for your situation rather than just taking it. But if it resonates with you, do not compare yourself. Way too many times I'll have people come with me with 4 or 5 different materials, and do not stress yourself out during the holiday and say, well, I now have extra time to study 100%. I'm now going to get this other program. People are giving me practice exams. This other person bought me that book. This other person gave me an online program. Do not get yourself so overwhelmed to the fact that you are immobile in the situation. Let go of fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Do not let that thing get ahead of you, and do not let your mind tell you you don't have enough. You should be studying and you don't deserve time off. You don't deserve any of these good things, or you should not be in the situations that you're in. Show up in order to glow up. And that is where you need to make sure that you are 100% locked into who you are, and you know that regardless of any self-doubt, any question, any thought, any situation, you know who you are deep down to the core. Be prepared for negative self-talk. Be prepared to not know something. Be prepared for someone to hustle you. Be prepared for all of these things so when they do occur, you know exactly what you need to do. And a lot of times people are like, man, what does that even look like? Be prepared and plan what you need to do in order to get to where you need to go. So this could be even during the exam. Like, you're like, man, I freak out during these things. Do what you need to do to make yourself calm. And this is a thing that I've been recommending to a lot of people, is embrace that tutorial time. It's the most underutilized point in the exam, is the tutorial time. And what do I mean is that time where they let you see where the time is, or like how to flag questions, how to navigate it. Utilize that time, because it doesn't dock your time during the exam, and sit there, embrace it. See what in particular you need to do in the situation, and let your nerves settle then, rather than letting the first couple of questions settle your nerves. Do what you need to do for you in order to get where you need to go. And way too many times people are like, Phil, these strategies you told me, they worked. I stopped doing everything that I was doing. I started doing less. I started doing more self-care. I started focusing on myself more. And I stopped letting negative self-talk or letting scarcity mindset of like, wow, I need to buy this program, or I need to do this, or I need to do that, and my friend told me I needed to do this, or somebody told me to watch this. Because to think back into the science class, when you mix too many chemicals together, what happened? Blew you up. Do not blow up, but just show up in order to glow up, and do not blow up. Do not let anything in your mind or situation stop you. You need to be so prepared and so ready that if the ceiling falls in under you, you just go under the desk, wait for it to stop falling, you sit on top of the rubble, you finish your exam, you walk out, and then you collect your passing paper because you knew exactly what you needed to do. And again, do not compare yourself to anybody. You're going to have friends that are passing. You're going to see people on a Facebook group that are passing. Or on the other side, you're going to see people on a Facebook group failing. You're going to have friends failing. You're going to have all these people on both sides. And whatever your energy or your focus is looking at is what you are going to do. So if you're more focused on how many times people have failed, or what this person did and failed, or what this person did and passed, you already know exactly what you needed to do. If you're watching this video, you know exactly what you need to do, because I've been telling you for a long time, make sure you do exactly what you know to be true and what is best. Know your learning style. Know how to handle your anxiety. Know everything that you need to do. Do not let one person, one thought, or one situation take you out of the situation. And it hurts me every time that somebody's like, man, I wanted to do that, but I was afraid. Don't let fear take you out don't let anything stop you from what you know you need to do. You know it in your heart. You know everything that you need to do. And that's where I get so frustrated, is because there are so many people out there thinking that they're doing good things, but they're tearing people down. They're making people second guess themselves. They're hurting people. And they're not directly hurting people, but they're hurting people's minds, and the fact that they're inserting so many negative things. There's so many black and white rules. There's so many things that people don't even resonate with. Find what works for you and rock with it. Do not get yourself swung up and allow for somebody to say, if you don't get this on our exams, that you need to reschedule or do this or do that. Or don't even let anything stop you. Way too many times people start questioning themselves why they fail rather than the processes and techniques that they utilize during the exam. Stay in the moment. Stay what you need to do. Get the job done. You know everything that you need to do. And the fifth tip that I have while studying during the holidays, if you're getting ready to lock and load, you're like, Phil, those first 4 tips sound good, but my exam is during this time. My exam is coming up. My biggest recommendation is to let go of past attempts and kill it. Let go of those past attempts and kill it. And if this is your first time getting ready to take the exam, let go of what people have told you what to expect. Walk in there, give it 100% what you got. You've given everything. You cannot change anything. You cannot go back and do anything else. So you need to buckle down. You need to identify your process. You need to identify your routine. You need to get motivated. You need to get pumped up and expect that 1 week out thing, that unpublished theory that I have, is that 1 week out, you're going to question everything. So if you're questioning everything right now and you're ready to do all these things, do not reschedule your exam. Don't let anything get inside of your head and make you self-doubt yourself based on the fact the only thing that can dictate whether you pass or fail is the actual exam. Do not convince yourself that you do not have everything that you have, because you don't know that. And if somebody tells you don't have everything that they have, do not let that person influence you in any way, shape, or form. Cut them out. Cut them out. Cut them out. Cut them out. Cut them off. Make sure that you have people building you up, telling you that you can do this. You're doing everything. You've been put into situations to get the job done. Let go of those past attempts. That isn't you anymore. Do not let negativity consume you. You may have these negative thoughts about yourself of, well, I've never passed a test. I've never been a good test taker. I've never done this. I've never done that. You need to start reframing your thoughts and saying, I haven't experienced this, but I'm open to this. I will do this. I can do this. I am going to pass. I am not who I was before. I'm not those previous exams. Those aren't going to be the same questions. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Everything that is going to push me to the limits, because I know myself so well that I'm not going to put myself into an impossible situation, but I'm going to put myself in a situation so close to not being possible that when it happens, I'm a little surprised, but I'm not surprised, and I'm ready to move on to the next thing, because you guys all have dreams and skills and talents and goals in front of you that this exam is holding back. But do not view that you are being held back. View that it is holding you and charging you up, and you're becoming the best possible version of yourself. So when you're getting questions wrong, you're feeling like you're not where you're supposed to be, reset, reshift. Give yourself everything that you need in order to walk in there and kick the exam in the chest. Get the job done. You do not need to be perfect to walk in and give a perfect attempt or a perfect result, because you don't need to get 100% on the exam, but you do need to walk in and give 100% of yourself to the exam. You do not need to get 100% of the questions right. You do not need to know 100% of the materials. You don't need to be able to teach it to everybody else. You don't need to be able to recite at the dinner table Freudian theory or the Erickson stages, or you don't need to be able to recite the acronym. You don't need to be able to get everything right. And someone once telling me, like, man, I told somebody that I did a tutoring session with you and I got every single question wrong. And the person asked me, why did I find it helpful? And that's the mindset that is deadly. It's, I got everything wrong, and I'm still excited, I'm pumped up, I'm motivated, and I know what I need to do next time in order to get to where I need to go. Do not convince yourself that the results are what is important. It's the process to get the result. But you can change a process, but you can't change the result. You can't go back and do something different, but what you can do right now is do something different to get yourself to where you want to go. And you have to change things in your situation in order to change things in your future. You have to do different things. You have to be willing to build yourself up. You have to do all of these things to get to where you need to go. And if you feel like it's an obligation or a barrier in your situation, reshift it and view it as a ramp leading you up to your goals. And you may not have done it on the first time. You may not have done it on the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth. But there's one thing that is certain, that you are the closest that you've ever been to your exam right now. And you need to be able to do all of these things to get to where you want to go. But do not let what you want to do, jade or blind you from being able to embrace the holiday and be able to do everything that you need to do with and for your situation. So those are my tips on what I would recommend people to do when planning to study during this holiday. And again, do not be so extreme that you are so pent up and so rigid that if we put pressure on you that you would explode. Be so fluid as like water, but being consistent, because if you're just the same, you're not really going anywhere. But if you have consistent motion, you are going to get to where you want to go. But if you just pause and even go backwards, you're not going to ever get there. So be ready and be able to do what you need to do. Be consistent, be present, be kind to yourself, be prepared, and do not let anything, one person, one thought, one situation, one previous attempt, multiple previous attempts take you away from where you need to go. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every single one of you that is repping and rocking with me, that has shown me support. And from the bottom of my heart, it just makes me so happy and appreciative for every single one of you guys. You guys are the greatest gift that I could have ever received, and I can't say it enough. I'm going to try my best to continue giving you guys everything that I have. If you need anything, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. Go to the Audible affiliate link. Be kind to other people. Do whatever you need to do, but make sure that whatever you do represents who you are, and making sure that you're staying pure and honoring what you know to be true. Make sure you're doing self-care. Give back to yourself in some way, shape, or form. And again, I'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Give everything you got to whatever you got, but make sure that you embrace the people around you, because you don't know if you're going to ever have them, and this could be your last time. But make this the best day that you've ever had, because this is the only day that you have. I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out, guys.